Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach. As always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
Hola.
Hola. And a return guest, very exciting. We have Mr. B. Dave Walters on the Zoom.
Enemy. Also, that is so shockingly cheerful music. You know what I mean? It's like it's the Nerds with Friends song. We're doing
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So
we had a different one.
We did.
That was really like...
It was like 8-bit kind of like video gamey.
But what's the other one that Brian was working on? That's the one I was talking about.
Oh yeah. Well,
I liked that one.
Yeah, that one was cool too. He just never finished it.
I didn't like it in the beginning, and then I heard it like
And
three
it grew
times,
on me.
and it grew on me, and then I was excited about having it, and then he never finished it.
Yeah.
Which is just like Brian.
So we had this like video game-esque version of that song, but then little known fact, I don't know if you knew this, Dave, but we just hit our 300th episode a couple episodes ago. So we figured it was a little bit time for an update. So I recorded that song playing guitar, and I was just like, let me just make a nice little cheerful little intro song. So yeah.
Well, there you go.
I have no musical talent. So
Yeah. Don't worry. I took charge.
It's you're within your rights to get by purely on your looks.
There you go. So we're very excited to have you on. We've got quite a few things to talk about. Before we'll get all the little plugs out of the way, and then we'll do it again at the end. Make sure you check out, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all the Facebooks, all that good stuff. Like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you really want to help us out, check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. All that info is at the bottom of the screen on YouTube, but you just have to write it down with pen and paper if you're listening. So pull the car over before you do that. And then, Dave, how can everyone find you on, all the social medias?
I'm Erwer at B. Dave Walters. Follow me on the Tweetigrams.
Easy enough. And that's how we found him. So, if you bug him long enough, he'll come on your podcast twice.
It's about to say, this is one of the very first things I ever did in times long past.
Yeah.
If you just did episode 300, I was somewhere around episode 50, I think.
Yeah, you were an early one, and we thank you for being so early. You were one of the first ones who actually accepted our invitation to be a guest. Who
I was an OG. I was in while you guys were still underground.
Yeah,
before it was cool.
exactly.
Yeah. Before we had all this cool toys behind.
Yeah, before we had our beautiful set and everything, and before we did video, we were just voices in your ear holes. So.
I just remembered the first time.
That's the name of the spinoff podcast.
Yeah,
by the way, is voices in your ear holes.
Yeah.
I just remember the first time. That was one of the times you forgot. Are you recording?
I am recording, Christian. Okay.
We did a whole episode with poor Mr. Walters over here. They got lost because.
Was it with you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I apologize. We are recording.
All right.
100%.
All right.
I made sure.
And no, we're not recording in the Zoom call, so that's why I was like, we're doing this on hard mode. That's cool. Let's go.
Yeah. Doing it on OBS. I think that was a suggestion from you, in fact.
Yes, it was.
When we were first jumping into this.
And all I have to say is you're welcome.
Yeah. Dude, it was a process figuring this all out, first of all. I was like, man, it was so much easier when we did it the hard way. It just took me 6 hours to, mix everything at the end. But now we got it going. We got a new camera. Thanks, Patreon, again, for that. We like to start the show off with a little thing called Nerdy Confessions, where we confess the things that make us nerds. Though I know we're all kind of qualified here, but me and Christian will start off, and then we'll kick it over to you. Christian, why don't you give us a nerdy confession?
We won't go into it deeply because we've talked about
we got
it
a lot
on
of
air,
stuff to talk about.
Off air, on
we'll
air.
Keep them running.
But the hours and time I spent reading the whole Satine and Jameson thing, I've spent many vetting hours, and we won't go into it. But I'm ashamed of how much I was digging into it. I think it's because my fiance has got me into reality TV and drama stuff.
You just like gossip, Christian.
I think
that's what this podcast has led me to believe.
There's nothing wrong with being a messy bitch, man. It's okay.
Yeah, if there's ever one of those, Christian's the one for sure.
It was just like on my phone. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then he said, "What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness." And he's texting me all these things. I'm like, Christian, I don't care. I mean, it's
I have to keep you up to date, Cody.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for him, I would be out of the loop for sure.
I was just like, oh my God. And then this happened. Like, holy shit. Can you believe this shit? It wasn't until hours later that Cody responded, cool.
Yeah, neat. So you showing up on time tomorrow or what? I think, everyone loves a good controversy. So, but yeah, we won't. I mean, like we said, I think on one of our previous episodes, awesome guests, and that's kind of the end of our opinion on it. So we'll stay out of the weeds on that one, I think. My nerdy confession is I recently I don't know if I wasn't painting miniatures. I think last time we had you on, Dave, but I've taken up painting miniatures both for Dungeons and Dragons and also Warhammer 40K, and I've been having the best time lately just working on this one base for a miniature. And normally, you're painting the character and all that stuff, and that's where the real fun is. But this one model, it's from Warhammer. It's like a wood elf type model, but the base is really cool. It's got like these vines and stuff coming out of it, and I've just been having the best time putting like little grass and shrubs and stuff like that on it. And I'm like, man, I haven't spent this long on actually doing a base in a while, so been getting my craft on that for sure.
You're approaching your final form of geekery. Yes.
Oh my god, yeah. The miniature painting is its own lane for sure. There's a bunch of drama happening in that right now too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One of the big mini painting YouTubers just got like canceled by GW Games Workshop.
Oh.
Yeah, he leaked some footage, but again, we don't have to talk about that.
I'll ask you off air.
Yeah.
We're not recording.
Yeah, it's no one cares other than miniature painters. So
NDAs exist for a reason, man.
Yeah.
Like you'll get rolled up promptly.
Yeah, he got like escorted off the premises, which is pretty cool. I mean, not cool, I guess, but pretty interesting.
When we do those like magic preview cards and stuff like that, I mean, we get it way beforehand, and I mean, it's literally in bold and red. Do not post this before this day at this time. Or if you get the embargo boxes, like that, there's red tape on it that is like, do not open, not even do not show, do not open
before
this date. So you could do it, but
you're risking
it. Can't say you weren't warned. Yep.
Flew too close to the sun.
See, my brother-in-law, he works in he does CG for movies, and all the time, like, hey man, what are you working on?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything to anyone. He's like, you have a podcast. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not gonna say anything. Man.
I mean, we might bring it up, but like, don't
I'm not
worry.
gonna say who.
Don't worry, our hundreds of listeners won't tell anybody. I'm sure they're cool.
But I always get the messy stuff at the end, and it's always fun. Like, what they did? What in this movie?
Yeah,
they didn't have an ending for this movie.
Yeah, he took us on a tour of ILM, and he was like, "What's in that room?" He's like, "I can't tell you. We're working on something secret." I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And I think at that point it was the World of Warcraft movie.
Yeah,
wasn't it? I think he told us afterwards, but yeah, those NDAs are no joke. That's for sure. But anyway. All right, Dave.
Nerdy confession.
Yeah. Give us a good one.
No, but see, here's what's wild though. It's like I'm so like obvious and like unrepentant in the things I love. That's why I'm looking around the room. I'm like, what could I even say that you might not know? I think probably just how much I'm enjoying Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is basically like a teen coming of age thing. Like I watched the first episode right after Obi Wan. What a time to be a geek.
Oh, I know.
And
it was so funny because after the first episode of Obi Wan, I was like, oh shit, this came out today too. I'm like, oh man, guess I'm staying up till 2 a.m.
Well, then I was like, I gotta show this to my girls, and then after that, I stopped pre-watching it. Like I haven't seen today's episode yet because it's like it's a thing we all watch together and all that. Yeah, that I mean, who'd have thought this story about a teenage girl is just like, enjoying it as much as I am.
Yeah, I'd say it's still early in the series. We haven't truly found out what's going on yet, but I've really been enjoying it too. I like that it's a much lighter series. Yep. It's not trying to feed into the big phase 4 of Marvel, and because of that, I find I'm not disappointed by it. I feel like some of the other shows, while they all have great parts that I've enjoyed, there's always like, oh, well, it didn't really have the gravity that I wanted, other than like Loki and WandaVision, which I think were the two best so far. But I will say this one, it's like a fun story, like the directorial style where the stuff's going in the background is awesome. Yep. And she's awesome as Kamala Khan too. So
and if you watch any of the interviews with her, she basically is her, like just the way she talks and like
she's not actually acting. She's just
right, exactly. She just go be you, and we're gonna CGI some superpowers every once in a while.
Right. Yeah. It and I know some people are complaining about her powers being different, and it's like when I first saw the trailer, I thought that too. but I don't really care that much anymore. The story's it's fun, and she's great, and I like her cast of characters like Bruno. Her mom and dad are great, and her brother. Like, it's just all around great.
Here's the thing: I'd done my fair share of nerd raging when characters were changed. When there was Kevin Smith wanted to do a Superman movie where Superman couldn't fly. I've done my time.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing Kevin Smith's ever done.
However, I openly admit the people that are raging about that, it's like, that's not what you're mad about, bro.
Oh, yeah.
No, those people are very vocal about what they're mad about. Yeah. There's been some pretty horrendous stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, instead of being stretchy, her hand is energetic, therefore I'm not going to watch the show. I'm like, is that why? You sure?
Yeah.
You sure that's why?
Yeah. My whole thing is like, it just seems like a weird change to make, but I think we talked about it on one of our previous shows.
I think it's because they're going to bring Mr. Fantastic. They didn't want too stretchy people.
Right. They didn't want too stretchy people, and then they don't want to introduce
didn't want too stretchy
Inhumans.
people.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think it's two things. I think they don't want to have too stretchy people, and two, when she shows up in the Marvels and everybody's shooting energy blasts and she's just got stretchy fists punching somebody, the audience is going to be like, I don't get it.
Right.
So now it's like everybody's blasting. There you go. See, they're all shooting pretty lighted things.
They got cool suits and blasty powers. That's all we need.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, because if you cared that much, you still would be supporting it to the best of your ability. I get complaining about minutia if you're going to neckbeard about something, which again, normally I very much look down on, but I got my things. But I can't think of anything ever that I was like, they changed the costume and therefore I will not support this project. Because that's just, I remember the closest thing I can remember is back before Black Panther came out, which of course is now, this beloved and eternal thing.
Sure.
There was a movement where, especially in like the Black geek community, where it was like, they didn't really film it in Africa, boycott this movie. And I'm like, no, because that is not what Marvel and Disney will take away as the lesson if this flops.
Yeah,
right.
Then we should have actually shot in Africa. I'm like, no. So
I didn't realize that was a complaint.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
Yeah,
that was they tried to make it a thing, and it was like absolutely not. And I'm gonna see it twice to compensate for you being dumb. Yeah, right.
I'm excited for the new one because first of all, Namor is one of my favorite characters of all time. But I'm also hesitant because like it's still supposed to come out this year, and we haven't seen anything. We don't know.
Well, there was like 6 rewrites, and
then the sister.
Well, and Letitia Wright did everything she could to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So
exactly.
I got faith in Ryan Coogler, but I mean, it's
But he's he can only do so much when
it's true.
Basically going through not only Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P. for sure, the real homie, but the pandemic and that situation with her leaving and then now she's coming back. So, God, I just hope it's good because I think Namor, if done right, could be a perfect foil for T'Challa.
Oh yeah,
and that
two
story
kingdoms
really
going
cool.
against each other. Yeah, no, it's
a king that'll like stop at nothing to protect his kingdom, and a king who has to learn how to be a king.
Sign me up for the war between Atlantis and Wakanda.
I know,
which has happened in the comics.
Oh,
but I won't
100%.
spoil anything.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do it, but we talked about it here. I would love to see M'Baku become Black Panther. I don't think they'll do it.
I don't think so.
They might now. It definitely wasn't plan A, but I think when Letitia Wright not only put her foot in her mouth, but then swallowed it up to her knee, they might have been like, well, we kind of have to. You know what I mean? It's like either they have to find a way to bring Michael P. Jordan back from the spirit world, which it's not that there's not a precedent for it, but you immediately have built into that, well, why did you bring T'Challa back? You know what I mean? Like you immediately...
Why you bring back this asshole?
Trying to kill everybody. Have a problem. Yeah, right.
The guy named Killmonger? You brought him back?
I mean, to a certain extent, the audience would forgive it because we know what's up. But you know what I mean? You you're like, but why didn't you, so M'Baku is the next in line because they were willing to let M'Baku be the Black Panther last time.
Right.
Yeah, and my thing is like the the discussions I had with people, they're like, he's a villain. I was like, but is he? Like, he did save T'Challa when he didn't have to. Like, he's an honorable guy.
He's just a different leader.
He followed the rules. He respected the rules. Right. Like, he did the way, he tried to take the crown, like, in a legitimate way. He lost, and he respected the outcome.
Yeah. Plus, for the 10 minutes or whatever that he was on screen, he stole the show. He was that
exactly.
Actor. I forget the actor's name, but he was great.
Winston Duke, and he's blown up since then too. So who knows? Who knows?
Well,
off topic, just like our normal brain.
I know it's funny,
but was it off topic?
That's true.
Yeah,
was it?
It's never off topic with us. So I guess for people who don't know, who haven't listened to the last, episode 50 of ours back when you first came on. So tell us a little bit about your origin story, and we'll keep it kind of quick because, you've obviously been well established in the nerd world for quite some time, but tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're primarily a dungeon master, author, some would call you a motivational speaker. I think someone compared you to Oprah at one point, like an Oprah version of what's that? Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Tony Robbins. Has he been in some stuff? We're not hoping that for him.
No, I don't know Tony Robbins.
Actually, a lot of people don't know this, that I actually got my start writing like motivational, inspirational content. Like I was a nationally syndicated columnist on BeliefNet. I wrote a dating advice column. It was nationally syndicated. Yeah. Which is because of those things. Doing those things is how I first got into doing panels and talks and stuff, because I would talk a lot about like the spiritual significance and the symbolism in the superhero stories and like the Avengers and things like that. That was how I got started doing panels, which is how I got started doing Ask Your Black Geek Friend, which is how I got into Geek and Sundry, which is how I got into doing literally everything else.
Everything else. And the one of the cool projects that you were just recently a part of, which I think, there's this new show on one of those small streaming services. It's like Strange Things or something
like that.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Apparently there's
or something.
Yeah, there's been like 4 seasons. I've never heard of this, but you recently did DM'd a one shot for the Hellfire Club from that show.
I did,
which was super entertaining. We both watched it, and tell us a little bit about like how you got approached for that, and then what that experience was like for dealing with those young actors.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They reached out to me because I was apparently on the short list of people that they knew about. Yeah. And then I had personal relationships with some of the people on the production cast. So apparently from 2 different directions, they got hit being told like, no, I'm the one you got to do. And the fact that I was on G4 being the first person doing this on television certainly didn't hurt.
Right.
That it's like, obviously he can do it. It was a pretty quick turnaround. It was 2-ish weeks or so. They hit me up. They were like, what do you need? They asked me some stuff about the set. I was like, make sure we have a dice cam, because you never know. Right. Somebody's going to roll like a clutch 20 and you're going to want to record that. More on that later.
Oh, yeah. We'll do a little pre-spoiler alert.
Exactly.
There was some clutch 20s in that game for sure.
There was. Originally, they were super flexible about what to do. They were like, obviously make it as much Stranger Things themed as possible. They sent me the whole 4th season.
Nice.
And we shot this almost 2 months ago, so I saw this all like a while back.
Nice.
I watched it and I saw their game and I saw what happened in their game. Vecna is the big bad this year. Vecna is the Thanos of D&D, so Vecna's everywhere.
Right.
The only thing they asked that I was like, I don't think that's a thing, was they asked if it was possible to do some sort of modern day take on it. And I was like, I don't think Watsy's going to want that.
Yeah.
But that's how I came up with the town of Hawks End instead of Hawkins.
Right.
I made up the characters. for the players.
Sure.
I actually asked them what are the characters from the game. Apparently in 4 seasons, it's never clear who's playing what, except for Lady Applejack. So I was like, tell me what they're playing, I will make those characters, and that's who they'll play. And it kind of was just like, you know?
Right.
So I'd asked to kind of have some time with them in advance because I knew 2 people on the cast had never played ever.
Sure.
And 2 people said they have. But what I've come to learn over the years is with 5.5 editions of D&D and so much homebrewed and home rule stuff, somebody saying they play D&D is actually meaningless.
Right.
It means at some point in your life, you've sat at a table and rolled a die and you thought you were playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's like Chutes and Ladders, but with dragons, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, unless you're like, I played 3.5 and had a planar shepherd druid. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, okay, you're speaking the language. I got you.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm like, I expect very little.
Sure.
So went back and forth. Didn't really get that time with them. Had 15 minutes total before we went up. And we had a very, very hard out for the day because they'd shot everything you saw for Stranger Things Geek. They'd all done that one day.
Right.
So by the time when we got together and I got to them, it was the first time a lot of them were seeing each other too since they shot the show.
Right.
So they're like, hey man, you know, what's up? How are you? What do you want? And I'm like, yeah, okay, stop talking. I have to teach you D&D.
Right. Exactly.
Let me tell you real quick how this is about to go down. Explain the characters so that they could pick it out. And what I told as a part of the production, I was like, look, I don't mind hand-holding. I don't mind explaining things. Right. Because it's a lot and it's a foreign language. Mm-hmm. And any questions they got, somebody in the audience has too. So whatever. You ask me any question you want. I'm going to take the time to explain it to you, and I'm not going to make you feel like you're stupid. Right. But if we've only got 2 hours and I take a minute to explain to you what Magic Missile does, and then I do that 10 times, we've now lost 10 minutes. You know, I do that 20 times, we've lost 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So I'm like, the more I can do this in advance, the better. Right. So what you saw on the screen was 99% of exactly what happened in real time. Like anything I was explaining, you heard me explain it right then. And what all happened. They just edited out a couple of ums and uhs on occasion. Sure. And you know, staring at the pad trying to figure out what to do. Right. With one exception. All right, now you can give your spoiler alert chime thing.
Spoilers coming.
I mean, I have to put myself under a cardboard box every time I hear that. You know what I mean? I'm all like, cool, it's cool.
It gets people's attention. You know, that's why we do it.
It's not going to notice the cardboard box in the middle of the hallway here.
Right.
It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, there's more and more boxes around this place. That's just the third one today.
And not a lot of coworkers. Where are those guys?
Am I the only one here? Jeez.
That's weird. I'm just going to go around this anomalous man-sized cardboard box. So I was intentionally setting up the flow of events to end with Lady Applejack killing Vecna because she kills Vecna in their game in the show. Sure. That was going to be the symmetry. Right. So by that point, I'd already dropped 3 of them into death saves. Right. And when they're trying to fin, and we were short on time, I knew we were near the end of the game. So when he was trying to, when Gaten was trying to figure out what to do, I was like, okay, time. This is what you need to do. This is the only time I help them. Right. I was like, use Healing Word to get up Lady Applejack, mark Vecna with the Path of the Grave. Lady Applejack, you attack him. And when you attack him, tell me you got a natural 20. And she's like, okay. And the reason why I did that is I didn't want to set up this big epic moment, have her roll a 1. Right.
Because she had previously gotten some 1s and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, guess Vecna kills everybody. Sucks. Thanks for playing.
The end.
Boom. You know what I mean? So she's like, cool. And I'm like, great. All right, edit that out. Come back in. And I'm like, what would you like to do? And then he gets her up and I'm like, you can attack him. And she rolls and actually rolls the 20.
Yeah. And that's why they're like,
crazy.
Look at it.
They're like, she did it. She really did it. And that's why I stand up and I'm just like, what? You know? So thankfully we had the dice cam that caught it happen. And it's funny because in the comment section, people were so shockingly positive because we've all been on the internet.
Sure.
But
sure.
people were really saying nice things.
Our last episode was about toxic fandoms. Check it out.
Right. So I don't have to. I live it.
Yeah.
But by and large, the comment section were astonishingly positive for all this. But I saw repeatedly people being like, "That's fake. She didn't do it." And I'm like, "No, she absolutely did it because I was willing to fake it."
Yeah.
And that actually happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
so
just a good DM's willing to fudge it every once in a while, Just
yeah, man.
That.
Well, again, for the sake of the narrative,
right?
The rules are there to facilitate the story, not the other way around.
Exactly.
But yeah, just like she drops the character, she kills Vecna in the game. Priya really did roll that 20,
right?
To kill Vecna in the stream.
Dude, she has sprouted from the recording of that show to the recording of that game.
Yeah.
I was like, she got like. So much bigger, like it was crazy.
Well, I mean, a lot of them, like the kid Finn too.
Yeah, Finn. From like
puberty hit
1.
that boy hard, for sure.
Sure did. He's a big old boy now.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, they're all 19. They would have been 13 or 14 when they started. Priya's 15. They're 19.
Right.
That's crazy. I didn't know they were 19.
Yeah, the other. I mean, they grew up in front of us basically, and you forget that there's like 2 years in between each season almost or whatever, and then we had pandemic time.
When Vecna hit them the first time, and what was it, like 42 damage?
Yeah.
I was like, is B. Dave Walters about to TPK these kids? I'm like, that's the first hit. Like, is he about to just finish them off? I bought into it. I was like, oh, damn, I don't know if he's going to.
Yeah.
I think he really wants to do this on camera. I think he's about to murder these kids.
I feel like the people that knows I would have killed those kids.
Yeah. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today. But, I mean, Vecna's Vecna. But, obviously, all jokes aside, what I wanted was them to leave with a positive experience of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
To be like, this was a fun thing that I'd do again, and having people in the audience be like, this is a fun thing I want to do, So plan A... Because I had a backup plan in my head of what would happen.
Sure.
If they'd all roll so poorly and Vecna had laid them all out, they were going to wake up in chains somewhere with Vecna monologuing. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just going to be like 76 minutes in, sucks to suck. You know?
I really
Get good, Scrubs.
I thought you were going to be like, fuck them kids, get up and then just leave.
Welcome to D&D. Flip the table over. Yeah.
Just execute Order 66 live on Netflix. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that I think is so cool about that stream that you did in particular is that a lot of people who watch that will be completely new to Dungeons and Dragons. They watch it because they're Stranger Things fans.
Yep.
And I think the way Stranger Things or the way D&D is often portrayed in a show like Stranger Things or a movie. Doesn't really get the feeling across like something like that full stream does. And I know, you were helping them out with like spells and, actions and maybe initiative order got moved around a little bit, but it's like, I feel like it gave people who had never played the game before a great idea of what it's like to actually play and kind of the natural drama that happens in a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
And you can see the exact moment the hook gets set in Joe too. When I was like, that boy's a fan now. When he like rolls that crit and jumps up and runs around the table, I was like, you're one of us now.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
Yeah.
This is Joseph Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't. Is that? I was like, is he putting on an accent for the character? Is that really his voice?
No, he's really British.
Yeah.
Dude, I had no idea.
The accent's on the show. He's actually British. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I was telling him. So was the I forget the actor's name, the lifeguard guy from the previous season.
Yeah,
he's British too, and so is Millie Bobby Brown.
All these foreigners coming in taking American jobs, man.
They're good actors.
They're taking all our superheroes. They was Batman. They was Superman. They was Spider-Man. Now they psychic little girls.
I can't get mad at Henry Cavill. He's first of all, he's too handsome.
How can you?
And he plays Warhammer 40K. So
he's
builds
he
computers.
Seems like a top guy. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
I was like, dude, like.
Also, he would literally break me in half.
Yeah.
If we got into a fight together. So
and he's the Witcher. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Geralt of Rivia.
Mm-hmm.
So I think another thing that was cool about it was pretty obvious that not all of them had played D&D like you said, and like they had varying degrees of knowledge of how the game actually worked. If you're, what would be a tip that you would have for a DM who's trying to teach a group of all new players like that? Maybe not with the time crunch and the schedule crunch that you had, but are there any cool guidelines when you're trying to set up a one shot for an all new group of players?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot with new players because, again, you're spreading the love of the pastime.
Right.
Obviously being able to yes and things is the most important thing.
Right.
Like when somebody wants to do something, go along with it. But if you have to say no, at least be like, no, but. Because people will, especially because they've seen action movies, when they have no idea, they're like, I want to shoot him 5 times and pull his heart out. And it's like, well, that's not exactly how it works. Okay? But what you can do is attack him or something.
First off, you don't have a gun. That's going to be weird.
Right.
Yeah.
if they're truly confused, I'll be saying, it's like, well, would you like my suggestion of what you might do or what your character's good at type thing? And just kind of like guide them through it. Because I think they're one of the worst inheritances of the old way this game was done was it really was PvP. It really was adversarial. It was the players versus the dungeon master.
Sure.
And the dungeon master was trying to kill you and you were trying to live,
Yeah.
And now, over time it's become far more of a collaborative art of a story that you're telling together.
Right.
So whenever you hear people complain about, or talk about how hardcore they are, I'm a consequences DM, which is the #1 bullshit flag ever, by the way. Never play with anyone that says they're a consequences DM.
Right. If they're gloating about it, it means they're doing it wrong,
Exactly. Well, I mean, when if you think it's impressive that you kill players,
right,
when you're literally everything, you're the world.
Right.
You can have one of them have a heart attack. You're the gods. You're the seasons. It's like if you can't kill players, you're stupid. You know what I mean? If that's your intent,
right.
But that's not what you're there to do.
Right.
You're there to go on an adventure together and make some memories together.
Yeah, I think that comes from a long line of like our traditional American style board games where you're all playing against each other. And it wasn't, until there was I think more European games were more collaborative together, or at least, you weren't directly fighting against each other.
Those freaking socialists. That's why they're socialist board games.
Those commies over in Russia, they came up with Settlers of Catan. Now everyone's farming on a socialist farm. No, but I think that mentality is so ingrained in, American culture that sometimes, that leaks into someone who's trying to be a dungeon master for the first time. And I dungeon mastered a campaign for our group of friends for 2 years. Was it a year? 1 year or 2 years?
All of COVID.
It was all of COVID.
So 2.
Yeah, 2 years. And while I wanted to make sure that there are consequences for certain actions, right? My goal was never to kill them. If it happens, we'll see. We'll cross that bridge.
We tried to get ourselves killed.
You
too.
tried. You tried.
I said, hey, I've never killed anybody. The dice have killed them.
Right.
And it's not about punishment and consequences, but it is about stakes.
Right.
And as I've said many times, my style, my approach is I take the things they do and the things they don't do. I take their decisions. I ask myself, what is the worst possible outcome of this course of action? And then I do that thing.
Right.
So,
yeah. I think, and you've done several games where you start with level 20 characters, where, essentially they're at level 20 in D&D for anyone who hasn't gotten that far, which is somewhat rare sometimes. You're basically a god or a deity at that level.
Basically. Yeah, you can do anything.
And I think that's one thing that you've done so well is that you really show what the consequences of having that amount of power is, right?
Yep.
Superman, I know, I think we talked about it last time, was one of your favorite superheroes.
Yep.
And that's what's so interesting about him is a bad Superman story is just him punching Brainiac in the face, right?
Yep.
A good Superman story is where even with his crazy amount of powers, he's still stuck in this situation where he has to decide what to do, what's right, what's wrong, and how his supreme powers will affect it.
It's not a Superman story, but one of the best examples of that ever is in the first Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, with the Green Goblin, when he's got Mary Jane and the kids, and he's like, monster presents you with a sadistic choice.
Now choose Spider-Man.
Drops them both, and then it zooms in on Spider-Man's face, and he can see them both. That's that right there. That's so peak storytelling. Good.
Sam Raimi, man. He was... and I feel like, love it or hate it, the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I was a huge fan. But, you got to admit, Sam Raimi is an entertaining, director when it comes to movies. He's just...
Well, he can do the horror comedy really well, man. At least that's for me.
I had two problems with Multiverse of Madness.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a horror movie, but it was admitted that it was going to be. But I was like, oh, no, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
My two problems were... a big chunk in the middle. It just went up on Disney Plus today, so some people haven't seen it. Some soft sell it.
Right.
A big chunk in the middle is just torture porn. It's pointless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it's just hey, see these things you love? What if something terrible happened?
Right. I loved it. I'm sorry.
And the second thing is he didn't understand the Scarlet Witch. By his own admission, he never even watched WandaVision.
Oh.
I mean, how are you going to do a spiritual sequel to something when you don't know what it is?
Sure.
Star Wars tested that thesis.
Oh my God.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
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 I have far more pointed complaints, but like I said, it just went up on Disney Plus today.
Yeah.
I will just say, if you have kids, pre-watch it. Don't show the kids until you watch it.
You gotta be careful with Star Wars because Cody over here loves Kathleen Kennedy. So
my God, don't.
I got nothing against Kathleen Kennedy. That was a terrible decision that smart people made. But
it's not her fault that she's terrible at Star Wars.
This is me even putting aside the fact that I detested The Last Jedi to the core of my being. If right now the three of us were like, let's go to an amusement park, dope, and just get up and walk out the door, we will end up in three different places.
Right.
That's not, that's not knocking any of the people involved.
Right.
It's like, how did you think you were going to have a coherent beginning, middle, and end?
Right.
With no overarching concept of the destination.
Absolutely. And that's one thing when we did an episode where we, fixed The Last Jedi, and it's not necessarily Rian Johnson's fault. And a lot of people shit on him when that movie came out. Because he had his own vision of Star Wars, but it's not his fault because no one told him the vision of Star Wars. No one told him, here's what these three movies are supposed to be. Here's the story. No one said that. It was just J.J. Abrams spit something out. Then Rian Johnson spit something out. And then J.J. Abrams I didn't like that. Let me do my own. And that's where it falls apart.
JJ delivered a shot-for-shot remake of the original, which, while I was unimpressed by, did what it needed to do to create a new generation of Star Wars fans, and it did that.
Yeah.
My kids were really little at the time. I saw a bunch of little Reys and Kylos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's it mission accomplished.
Sure.
And then Rise of Skywalker is the Cliff Notes of two movies where we find out what JJ would have done in the middle and did do at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
I think but you can tell the difference, and the audience can tell the difference of when the projects are in the hands of somebody like Dave Filoni or Deborah Chow that truly love these things.
Right.
And come from a place of love with them. That's why The Mandalorian works. That's why Obi Wan worked.
Right. Love and understanding of not only the overarching themes, but also the characters involved, right?
The characters involved, who they are, what they represent, and why the audience loves them. There's a reason why everybody from Mark Hamill himself on down hated Luke in Rise of Skywalker, but cried like children when he showed up in The Mandalorian.
Right.
Dude, when she said it's just a single X-Wing, we're saved. I was like, oh shit, you are saved.
Yeah.
It's Red 5.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? And then
I just even hearing you talk about that gave me chills again.
Right.
I was just like, yes.
That's what Star Wars is for. You're supposed to have those moments, and it doesn't mean. And I think this is what people don't understand: is it doesn't mean that it has to always be this hearts and roses triumph.
Sure.
I'm being vague because, again, the last episode of Obi-Wan came out today. You know, right. Most people weren't fools and stayed up all night like me. People have jobs and things. So, you know, 85% of the people that are going to watch it haven't seen it yet.
Right, exactly.
Or we can hit the spoilers button and talk about
it. We'll talk spoiler free, and then in the last 10 minutes we'll
we'll dive in case somebody's going to turn it off. But I mean, you know, here's a spoiler alert. You know, Obi-Wan's life ends up kind of shitty. You know what I mean? Like, we know where he ends up. You know? Like we know how this ends.
Right. Another 6 years, he turns into Alec Guinness. You know, it's
right. 9 years. 9 years.
9 years. That's right. Yeah.
Yes. You know, so it's not like a happy ending isn't in the cards for Obi-Wan.
Right.
But a fulfilling ending is in the cards for him.
Right.
You know?
And I will say that I think that this, you know, without giving anything away yet, I think that this series, the Obi-Wan series, really did that. It was like, to me, it was satisfying, and I was worried when the first couple episodes started. I'm like, how are they going to do this in 6 episodes? But by the end of it, I was just like, "Oh my God, this is Star Wars." You know,
we got what we wanted. Well, and we got more. Because on the show when we did an episode, we were like, "Hey, this is kind of what I want to see. What I want to see." And I was like, "I don't know if they're going to do it." It's like, "Oh shit, they did it. Yeah. That's awesome."
It was incredibly satisfying. I when I did my vague live tweet thread, I mean, the last thing I put was I was like, "This was such a gift." Yeah. And I don't think I've ever said that about a piece of content that is like, this was a gift. Like, you gave me something with this. I've never felt that way. But it's interesting. It's an interesting juxtaposition of the most recent trilogy kind of fell flat, you know, because I think even anybody that likes parts of it, there was parts of it they didn't like. Like, I mean, there's not many. I mean, I guess people exist that just were like super down for all 3 of them.
Yeah, those people are not Star Wars fans. I'm just kidding.
I don't want to be that guy.
Well, you know, I think the way I look at it is I love Star Wars. I love it when it's good. I love it when it's bad. You know, like the holiday special holds a secret place in my heart, even though it was, you know, one of those so bad it's good kind of things.
But it was one of those, it got to live in infamy long enough that it became ironic, you know, whereas like Solo fell flat, the new trilogy fell flat, but then The Mandalorian comes along, is wonderful, but then Boba Fett,
it was but then kind of half and half.
Well, Mando came back
out of the park. Yeah.
Mando came back in.
Yeah, to save it.
But that's the only reason it worked, and that's bad. You know what I mean? When the best episodes of your show are the parts that you're not in,
right?
You know,
that's true. I will say, Rogue One was kind of a sleeper hit for me. Like, I wasn't like hands down, you know, like this is the best Star Wars movie ever, but it was like a story that I had no hope for. I'm like, I don't care about how they got the plans for the Death Star. Like that, I do not care. But seeing it play out, I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And then the last like 5-10 minutes was some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen.
I also really enjoyed the Jedi guy. He was cool.
Yeah, he was cool. I mean, Donnie Yen is just incredible.
I just was having this discussion with somebody that was like, Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie. And the point I made is, and they were like, Rogue One is more than the last 10 minutes. And I was like, I liked Rogue One a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm like, name 3 members of the crew that weren't Cassian Andor.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like some like really diehards can, but the movie was bigger than them. The movie was about the struggle to get the plans for the Death Star, which don't get me wrong, is fine. But that's actually why I don't think, I mean, if the Cassian show comes out and it's just great, it's going to do what it does. But I don't think they're going to get the like swelling of love for this that they think they're going to get. Because a lot of people forgot who Cassian is and who Jane Erso is.
Yeah, like I do not care. Yeah. I will watch that show, of course, because like I said, I love Star Wars.
It's going to be legit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, but it's not, it doesn't have the built-in allegiance that Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are going to have.
Right.
Now, the Mandalorian proved you don't have to have a built-in allegiance as long as you deliver.
Right, exactly. The Halo show shows the opposite of that, where you can just take a fandom and shit all over it when you could easily hit a home run. But
yep.
I think
I have not seen outside of episode 1. I just saw the first episode. That was it.
Again, I watched all of it because I'm a Halo fan, but it was rough. But
you're like hashtag not my Master Chief.
Yeah, dude, seriously. And I again, when we talked about this in our fandom episode, toxic fandom episode, it's like it's not any of the actors' fault. It's just like when the visionaries who are creating and producing this show like start off without respecting like what came before, and the fandom built around it, that's when fans are disappointed. It's not that Pablo Schreiber did a bad job as Master Chief. He acted the way they told him to. He took off his helmet all the time like they told him to. So that's where things go wrong, I think. But
well, it's back to what I was just saying about Dave Filoni and Deborah Chow and Bryce Dallas Howard. You know,
my God. I am waiting for a Bryce Dallas Howard Star Wars movie because I think that would be amazing.
Jon Favreau. You can tell the difference when the people love the thing. That's why Iron Man worked. That's why Guardians of the Galaxy worked. That's why Deadpool worked.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you can tell when... I mean, I'm not here to say what the director of Eternals like felt or didn't feel, but I mean, what I heard from the very beginning was it was the brilliance of the cinematography, the shots she got, the locations they scouted, the visuals. And I'm like, that was all true, but it was all... sound and fury and signifying nothing. It was like, okay, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Again, who can name 3 of the Eternals? And they've all got names from mythology.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's like...
Yeah, there's Athena, but it wasn't. It was Thena.
Athena?
Yeah, when it wasn't
Icarus.
It wasn't
Icarus,
Athena,
but spelled weird.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then
mean, again,
Gilgamesh?
I can because I'm a mythology nerd.
Yeah, exactly.
But that movie also showed one of the flaws with a shared universe, which was one of the thing I hated most about Iron Man 3, and I hated everything about Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
But for the Eternals metaphor, if a giant hand is coming out of the southern hemisphere, the 3 or 4 Quinjets are showing up. They're just gonna.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like like the Avengers are going to be like, is that a monster coming out of the earth?
Yeah.
It was the same
people
way,
in the southern hemisphere just see a bunch of like giant dick. They're like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah, like somebody's gonna poke their head down there. You know, not a band of unruly god robot misfits.
Right.
And then Iron Man 3, when it was like they've literally kidnapped the vice president, but I alone must do it. And somebody said it wasn't a superhero problem, it was an America problem. I'm like, yeah, but at that moment, Captain America, Black Widow, and Hawkeye literally work for the government.
Right.
And you know them.
Right.
You know? Like, it would have been so easy to be like, I'm calling Cap. Oh, they're jamming our comms. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're
he's on a mission with Black Widow and Hawkeye.
They're on a black mission. You know what I mean? That it's like, it's all strictly off the books. We got to go now. You know what I mean? It's like a line of dialogue would fix it.
I know.
But it's like, and again, I get on a macro scale, it's Iron Man's movie. It's not the Avengers movie. But the whole reason you've sold this to us is this shared continuity. So you have to account for that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you hate Iron Man 3 too, because I don't know. Like, there's people who love that movie. And I'm just
I know, I did. I didn't like it for multiple reasons. But
some people are allowed to have bad taste.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like, the whole Iron Man, anytime he faces a certain villain, he adjusts his suit so that he can face this villain. He couldn't make like a fireproof suit. Like, I don't know. Like, he's super rich. Like, he would have done it.
I will say also, that was one of the times they kind of tipped their hand with the marketing as well. If they'd hidden the whole sequence with all the suits showing up, that would have been a little bit of a nice surprise. But it was like the one thing that would have been a popcorn moment out of this movie. And the whole point is like, Iron Man's bigger than the suit. Tony's the hero, not the suit.
Right.
I get it. You've said it about 17 times now.
Right.
I literally comprehend it. And I met Shane
for 3
Black,
movies now.
I met Shane Black and I hung out with him a few times ahead of the Predator release because I was doing the Predators web content for Fox at the time. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm still mad at you for Iron Man, but you're not a bad guy. And then Predators came out and I was like, no, I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you.
Yeah. Well, he was great in The Predator, the original. But
and he was on set of The Predator writing Lethal Weapons. So I'm like, he's done
good things. But
do you remember friggin' Firefly? when the operative is nerve paralyzes the scientist and then literally lets him fall on the sword, and he's like, "You're a great man. You've done great things." Like while the dude's dying, you know what I mean? There's no shame in this.
There's no shame in this. Yeah. Oh man, right. That was a terrifying. Yeah. What's his name? Chewitel Ejiofor?
I cannot say that man's name.
Yeah.
Properly, right.
I've just stuck to the one that I'm probably mispronouncing, but I think it's it's with good intention. I try my best. Well, let's dive into a little bit of spoilers for Obi-Wan. So if you have not finished the Obi-Wan series, stop it now. Leave our podcast playing in the background on loop so we get the listens, but then come back after you've watched this, the final episode. So there will be spoilers for Obi-Wan coming right now. So let's talk about that last episode, guys.
It was awesome.
Holy shit.
I was super happy to see Obi-Wan get his mojo back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he took
but the weakness remains. Yeah. I was like, what a line.
Oh, my God.
Just this, I mean, the amount of time I screamed during that episode, just screamed during that episode. The fact that Ahsoka busted up the left side of his helmet and Obi-Wan busted up the right side, or vice versa, whichever.
Right.
That was such a nice, just
a little little thing for the fans who really notice that stuff.
If you saw my vague tweet live reaction thread, when I'm writing no, don't do that to me, it's because he hits him and he falls backwards, and I was like, they're gonna do it, they're gonna fucking do it, they're gonna do it, they're gonna do the partially reveal Anakin face. You can't stop, please don't. Just you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker.
I did.
Oh, and that little smile, I was like, he's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
I know. Oh my God. And one thing I like that I think if it was done wrong would have been one of those like cringy moments that get posted around the internet. But when he's talking and his voice is half Darth Vader and half Anakin, I was like, oh my God, this is all I've ever wanted from Star Wars.
What I was most afraid of, I mean, I can't say going into it, but as it was going on, when it was clear, again, we already gave the spoiler alert badge here.
Yeah.
When it was clear that Reva was going to Tatooine.
Yeah.
If Owen and Beru had killed Reva, I'd have put my fist to the screen. You know what I mean? They just made us to shoot her or hit her with the T-16. Or
that wasn't that bad.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, we already established she's wounded, but if it's in any version of that, if they'd succeeded in killing her,
right,
I was gonna be really mad. Yeah.
So even with her being wounded, you'd be like, nope, that's it.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, she could freaking force choke them. She doesn't even have to move really.
She could force choke them. She still kind of got a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I realized I was poo-pooing The Force Awakens, but Kylo Ren had been shot by a bowcaster and still rolled up Finn and Rey.
Right, exactly.
So, I'm glad it ended the way it did. I was kind of holding my breath. I was like, come on, don't do that.
Right.
Don't do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't do that.
Yeah, don't cheap it out for us, And I think one thing that we talked about this being such a satisfying show, it was nice to see that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were not helpless. They're not just like their whole point in Star Wars was not to just be killed and let Luke go off with Obi-Wan. Like they were there. They were self-reliant. They fended themselves off, somewhat successfully from a Sith Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And they're just a couple farmers. So I really enjoyed that.
Although when she put the force pimp hand on him, when she was like, pow!
Yeah.
He rolled. Oh, I was like the force pimp hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and again, all the way back to the early hate for that character was just like I was saying about Kamala Khan.
Sure.
I'm like, that's not what you're mad about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you just like roasting this character. That's not what you're upset about.
That's actually what inspired that our fandom episode.
Exactly.
Was the hate for her.
Yeah, I think she got. I mean, like you said, they're not just mad at her being a Sith Inquisitor. It's who she is and how she looks and how they feel about themselves.
Exactly. I said from the very beginning, I'm like, she's probably one of those younglings that's escaping the temple because there is a little black girl there.
Yeah.
She probably saw Anakin with her own eyes. I literally wrote that.
Yeah.
After episode 1.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's not me being a genius. That's some pretty easy foreshadowing. Otherwise, why take the time to show us this sequence of events?
Right. Exactly. I think too, one thing I was kind of afraid of leading up to this last episode was I didn't want her to just instantly flip a switch and be good now. Like if the other Inquisitors go to Tatooine to get Luke and she shows up and saves them, fights them off. Like, I don't want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too easy of a redemption for her. And I felt like, again, satisfying as you would want, like she's still conflicted. She had that good inside of her still, but still tried to kill him, killed Lars's. But, in the end, she's still a conflicted character. And I like that kind of ending for her. I thought she was a great character.
Well, I'm sure if they do season 2, they'll definitely bring her back. So.
Right.
Well, people talk about, I actually, believe it or not, I actually hope it's done. I'm fine if this is it. I mean, again, Deborah Chow knocked it out of the park. I'd be okay with more Adventures of Obi-Wan, but I'm okay now having gotten that, that fuse, you know what I mean, put in there.
Right. I think, when we were leading up to this series, I was like, oh, it's only going to be one season. How are they going to do it? And even like 2 episodes in, I was like, I don't know how they're going to make this worth it and satisfying by the end of these 6 episodes. But now that it's over, I'm kind of with you. I think if they ended it and they're like, this is it, this was Obi-Wan, that's all we're going to say about it. The rest is in A New Hope. I'd be okay with that. It was that good.
I just want to see Ahsoka and live action Vader together. We haven't gotten that. We've seen.
Hayden's confirmed back for Ahsoka, so we're at least gonna get a flashback.
Nice.
There we go.
I mean, well, Rebels told that so perfectly.
Right.
When
the Darth Maul ending too, which that was Rebels too, right?
So good. That fight was so good, but I still wanted to see it live action.
I know.
Even if they shot it shot for shot, I would have wanted to seen it.
So good.
I mean, we may still get it in the fullness of time, but if we don't, it's like it's in my hard box, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I know what happens.
I mean, even though Obi-Wan did the pose and everything, he did it with Vader. I'm like, all right, okay, good.
So good.
And when he's like, "Are you here to kill me, Obi-Wan? I will do what I must." Again,
yeah,
I was like, ah! And the fact that so.
I'm going to go home and watch it again tonight.
my most unpopular nerd opinion, and I need you to know that from the very depths of my heart, I absolutely don't give a fuck about when people don't agree with me, is Episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh, wow.
It's not the best Star Wars movie, but it's my favorite because it has the most just moments.
Right.
And my favorite part,
the Ewoks.
My favorite movie, Murder Bears, baby. My favorite movie.
They weren't in Episode 3, were they?
I don't know. He just said Ewoks. So
I thought we were talking about the original 3.
No.
Revenge of the Sith.
I'm sorry.
It's you fucking casual. How dare you, sir?
It's over, Anakin.
How dare you? No, it's when they're fighting on Mustafar. They're on that thing sliding over the lava.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan looks at him and he just says, "I failed you, Anakin.
I failed you. You were my brother."
In the midst of all of this insanity, everything is going wrong. Order 66 is happening.
Right.
He knows he's going to have to kill his best friend, who is his brother. Mm-hmm. And the thing he's thinking is, I'm sorry.
Right.
So for them to hit that again, to be like, I'm sorry for all of it. And the tears in his eyes and Vader not hearing it, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think what was so interesting about that scene in Obi-Wan was, in a way, Vader, he didn't forgive him, but he let him off the hook for everything. And whether or not that was Vader's intention, the fact that he said, "Look, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." It showed that he's owning his fault to the dark side, and that lets Obi-Wan off the hook, lets him kind of feel balance again. And
I kind of
real spoiler alert.
I kind of took it more of a it was a power thing. Like, no, you couldn't kill Anakin. I killed Anakin. It was more like a reversal of no, I'm strong. Like, you couldn't have done it. That's the way I took it.
I'm gonna throw a curveball to you both.
All right.
Remember, he told him, as long as you feel the need to prove yourself, you will always be a Padawan.
Right.
You're a great warrior, but as long as you need to prove yourself. So when he's like, "No, it wasn't you, it was me." That's why when he sees him in Star Wars, "When I last met you, I was the apprentice. Now I'm the master." You know what I mean? Like that was also the moment that Vader really, truly becomes Vader.
Right.
Is in that second where he's like, no, I killed Anakin and I'm gonna kill you. And Obi-Wan's like,
laters.
You know?
Well, I think, I was talking to one of my buddies right before the podcast because we were talking, I mean, everyone we know is talking about the show right now. Sure. And when he was like, well, do you think at the end when he's talking to the Emperor and he's like, you need to forget about Obi-Wan, and do you think he actually did forget, he's over finding Obi-Wan, or do you think he's secretly going to try to find him behind the Emperor's back? I'm like, no, I think that fight between Vader and Obi-Wan at the end, that was the true ending of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan's fight together. Now Vader, he's in Vader does not have Obi-Wan in his past anymore. He's his own thing now, and now Obi-Wan can go on and protect Luke Skywalker for the rest of his life, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like they don't lay eyes on each other again until Star Wars.
Until A New Hope,
and that is also New Hope, yeah. And that is it also gives a new color to how Obi-Wan reacts to Maul. Right. Because when Maul shows up, like, let's fight, Obi-Wan's kind of like, bro, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who you want to hit. It's not me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the way that whole sequence goes, where Obi-Wan's like, we don't have to do this. And Maul's like, no, why are you here? Yeah. You're here for something. To protect something. To protect someone.
Yeah.
And the lightsaber just comes on. Obi-Wan doesn't even say anything. He's like, well, Maul's gonna go in the ground.
And that's one of those things, like, you say you want to see that in person. It was so, and I'm not the biggest Clone Wars fan,
Rebels. Yep.
Yeah, I should just say animated Star Wars shows. I'm not the biggest fan of those. Just
they're amazing.
I realize that they're great. There's good stuff in them. But to me, I've always been like the movie guy, and now Disney Plus makes me feel weird. But it's like, that scene was so well done, and there's other versions of that in both of those shows, but that was done so well and so tastefully, where you have Darth Maul, I guess spoilers for Rebels that came out several years ago. You have Darth Maul dying in the arms of Obi Wan Kenobi. I was like, this is great. And so then I went back and rewatched everything, and I'm like, okay.
Is he the chosen one? He is. He will avenge us.
Yeah.
One of my favorite conversations I ever had at D&D Live in 2018, I got to spend some time with Sam Witwer, and that had just aired.
Nice.
And we were talking amongst ourselves about whether or not Darth Maul died at peace.
Right.
And he was like, I don't know that he died redeemed. I said, I didn't say redeemed. I said, did he die at peace?
Yeah.
Because he's like, all right, he's going to kill everybody.
Right. Oh, man.
And he did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was so good. And, that's why, again, unless they do it like shot for shot with Ewan McGregor, I can't see it being as good and as well executed as that, because it was the perfect tied up with a bow end for Maul, and that's how you want any great character to go out. You know what I mean? You want that satisfying ending to them, and whether they're bad or good, as long as you're not done at the end of the show and like, man, that was kind of lame, and that's all we can ask for as nerds.
Yep. How'd you feel about the or both of you guys, the hello there?
Hello there. Oh, when Owen said, would you like to meet him?
Yeah.
I got misty-eyed. I was like, oh, he loves him so much. And it's like, it's one of those things where, when, in Field of Dreams, when Kevin Costner's dad's like, hey, you want to play some catch? Like, it was a similar feeling to me when Obi-Wan gets to meet Luke for the first time. But
I lost it when I saw he brought the T-16 model for him. And I can honestly say, in that moment, my brain wasn't even thinking hello there, because hello there was Grievous. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I didn't even. And then he's like, hello there. I'm like,
oh, so good.
You know that episode was so fantastic that nobody even mentions the fact that Qui-Gon came back.
Right.
You know what I mean? I knew he was gonna. I was like, you wouldn't keep talking about it if we weren't gonna see him.
Right.
And so but it's like, I was so
there was so much else in that episode.
I was so emotionally exhausted. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I was already on my back with my chest heaving, sweat cooling type thing, and then here's Qui-Gon, and I'm like,
cool, great, cool. Just a cherry on top.
One more on the way out the door. Yay! You know,
I thought Qui-Gon was going to come in or at least speak to him when he's under the rocks, holding the rocks up with.
That's when I thought he was going to come to. But the fact that it's like I got to fight for the children was even better, though.
Right. That's
true. I mean? That it's like I got to find a way. And again, I don't just have to fight for the children. I have to fight to save your children.
Right. Like, exactly.
That's so well done.
The fact that Vader doesn't even know why Obi-Wan's fighting this hard.
Yep.
That whole time, you know, he doesn't know where he gets that strength from. And it was, I mean, chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Mm-hmm. The rocks were cool too. We didn't talk about it when.
When he just has the fucking rocks. He's like,
the neckbeard in me was like, but the Force isn't used for attack, Obi-Wan.
No, Vader just got in the way of those rocks flying naturally.
Right? You know what's funny is we're always told the Force isn't used for attack, but the Jedi Force shove shit all the time. You know what I mean? Like, that's the opening move. Like, boom. I'm like, the only reason you're so good with the lightsaber is the Force. So are you sure?
Right, exactly.
Are you just not supposed to lightning and choke people? Is that it? Because that's a different statement.
Exactly. Statement. You're not supposed to like force stab people, okay?
Yeah. But when you're like the Force is only for defense and never for attack, I always was like, never for attack.
Yeah, he's like, well, he's wearing a helmet. Attack. I figured he could take it.
Or maybe Vader was supposed to defend himself from the rocks.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. I figured he'd like throw him back or something. I don't know. I didn't think he'd just take it.
I agree. That was it's like, obviously, as a proud Sith American, I'm very pro Darth Vader always.
Yeah.
Today it just so happens this is a good day for the shirt, but I wear this shirt all the time.
Yeah, there you go.
My mask. I don't have it here. My mask is a Darth Vader mask, so I represent, right?
Right.
So obviously, very pro Darth Vader. I know Obi-Wan's got to get away, but I'm all like, beat the brakes off of him, Vader.
Exactly.
But
he did in the first match.
When Obi-Wan got that first Force push and sent him flying, I was just like, this is filling me with a lot of conflicting emotions here, okay? Right?
So good.
Because I'm morally obligated to be pro Darth Vader here,
right.
and yet I want Obi-Wan to get his groove back.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know,
he's not just any Jedi.
My screen name in a lot of stuff is Obi Wan Kenobi, and you know, so this whole series I've just been like, I'm like, come on, Obi-Wan, get your groove back. But then you see Darth Vader grab that ship with the Force and just bring it down and then tear the side off,
and then just rip it apart.
Oh.
Yes.
It was so good. I was like, I was tired and sweaty after that scene. It was so good.
So, just all of it. Yeah. Yes.
Amazing.
10 thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's if there's more, I will happily watch more. If that is all, it's perfect.
Exactly. And so hopefully everyone listening to this or watching this, if for some reason you listen to all of that and haven't seen Obi-Wan yet, it's still even better to watch it and see the visuals of it. So, you know, go check it out. It's amazing. And, of course, too, check out Dave on doing the Stranger Things Hellfire Club D&D stream. It's available on YouTube. And it's probably like a rerun or something on Twitch, too, right? I don't know. I don't know how Twitch works, I'll be honest. So
yeah, there's a VOD.
There you go. Video on demand. I know that one, Christian.
Yep.
So thank you everyone for liking and subscribing. Make sure to check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Check out B. Dave Walters on all the social medias as well. Dave, any last things to leave the fans with?
You know, the reason why Obi-Wan landed in all of our hearts the way it did is because we feel like we've taken that trip with him.
Yeah.
It's an adventure we've taken with him. And when you're playing these games that we love, that's why we do it, because it's an adventure that we take with our friends. And if you are lucky enough to be in the Dungeon Master or Storyteller's chair, keep that in mind, because it is a sacred trust. As you can see, when somebody subverts those expectations, everybody violently rebels against that. You know, so give your people a grand adventure. You know, give them an opportunity to make some memories with their friends and with you, because again, you're there to have fun as well, and those are stories that will live forever, and I hope something makes you that happy somewhere along the way.
Damn,
Man.
What a way to fucking end the
show. I'm going to have you come on and do our outros every single time. That was freaking amazing. Well, thanks again for coming and spending time. We'll have you back anytime you're free, because we always love talking to you. And to all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. May the Force be with you. Thank you, and good night.